Hello, everybody. It's me, SP, here with Powerful Impact, and we are joined by Seven the Panther. Hey, Seven, how you doing?
I'm doing great, doing great. Good to be here again. Most definitely. How y'all doing?
Welcome back.
All right. I know people are thinking right now in their head that SP had him on just so she could hear him talk.
I ain't mad at that at all. I ain't mad at it. Not even a little bit. Oh man. Hey, whatever get me in front of people, if it's that, so be it. I'm cool with it.
I think everybody and their mama know how much I enjoy your voice on albums. It just sounds wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's crazy that you say that because that's one of the main things I cannot stand about listening to my own music is I can't stand the sound of my own voice. So
I don't know if many people
it's crazy.
can.
Yeah, I can't take it.
Because
I only
Lord
listen to
forbid,
Barry White over here.
I only listen to my music to learn the words so I can perform it. That's it. And once I know I got it, I just stop listening to it.
God forbid I have to make music and people have to listen to this all day.
We're gonna do ad libs. That's it.
Meanwhile, she
ISP.
runs a podcast. That's hilarious. You're funny.
Hey,
I'd
that's
sound
funny.
great on ad libs though,
Right.
Woo.
or on the especially on the West Side Gun album.
Hey yo.
Hey man, I be thinking sometime West Side in the studio having a schizophrenic break or something. I swear I do. I be like, yo, this dude he's crazy. Y'all don't know that? There's something wrong with him. I hope they in there giving him a nice hug when this session is over because he sounds like he is in there losing his mind. But it's his way. I ain't gonna knock it. But yeah, that's crazy.
It's a cute little meme that I found with a guy ordering from McDonald's like West Side Gun, and it kills me every single time I hear it.
I gotta find that. Okay. I definitely gotta find that.
Can I get
That
some
that might make my
fries
day.
with a burger on the side? Boom!
Hey, don't in case y'all watching, don't get it fucked up. I love y'all, Griselda. Love y'all to death. But that shit
Already.
funny. But that's funny. All the way live.
When this is over, I'll play it for you.
Oh, word. I'm with it. Yeah, most definitely. Oh man. That's West Side, man, he's a genius in so many ways.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So I salute him at every opportunity. Just I mean, he's probably as far as like rappers go, he's probably my least favorite member of Griselda, but like I recognize his genius nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? As far as putting a project together, nobody does it better than him.
I,
Um,
I always say
Benny gets a lot of. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I always say he's the Puffy of Griselda.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Puffy. He just rap better than Puffy because he actually write it. But like
Yeah,
but he's the mind behind a lot of that. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Uh-huh. I for people who don't who are new to the channel and don't um know who Seven the Panther is,
Mm.
which is there should be no excuse why they don't know who Seven the Panther is on this channel.
I'll give him a pass at least to the end of this.
Already.
At least to the end of
Can
this.
you give them some background and let them know
Yeah,
where you holding it down from?
most definitely. I'm Seven the Panther, one half of Carter and Newton, one half of Fallen Angels as well. I represent right now Tacoma, Washington. I moved out here about 6 years ago from North Carolina. So, um, most times when people see me, they know I rep Tacoma, but it's always Carolina hip hop. You know what I'm saying? All day, every day. So, um, yeah, that's that's about it, really.
Yeah, North Carolina is different.
Oh yeah, very, very
Yeah.
different, very
So
different.
how did you develop your style? Because being, you know, from North Carolina, you are not exactly North Carolina sounding.
Well, it's okay. So let me see if I can clap. Okay, so my style is basically a amalgamation of like three of my favorite rappers, and it's like if you broke it down into fourths, those three people probably only make up a quarter of my style. The rest of it's all me. But like if you listen close enough, you can hear the influence like Rakim, Method Man, um, well, actually, probably those two and Redman. Those three probably the biggest influences stylistically to the way I rap. Later on, I got a little influence from other people. Like just as I was growing as an artist, kind of finding my own way, and you hear things people do, you say, "Hey, that's kind of cool that he did that," but I wonder how I could do it my way. You know what I'm saying? So just toying around with different things, but those elements, especially Rakim and Method Man, never leave. Like you can hear them if you listen. You can hear the influence. So and I never shy away from it because I think that those are two great people to learn from in terms of I'd say Rakim more lyrically and Method Man more flow wise. Those are the two biggest inspirations. As far as the pen game go, Nas is probably Nas is probably the biggest influence to how my pen work realistically because after I heard Illmatic, I realized there's a different way to say this that and I know how to do it that way. I'm just not doing it because I'm trying to out aggressive everybody. So then I stopped trying to out aggressive everybody and I just started saying what was on my mind. And at that juncture, I think I found my sound. So I've literally been rapping the same since I was like 20 years old. Um, my style advances depending on the beat that I'm on, but basically at the base of everything, I've been rapping the same since I was 20. So it's never changed.
How long did you say you've been out there in Washington?
I've been in Washington for 6 years.
6 years. So you developed that sound in North Carolina, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Did when you moved, did it have? I mean, did you notice any kind of? I know you said it hasn't changed much, but I mean, was there any kind of influence in your move to Washington on any part of your either the music itself or the way you do it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's different sounds now that I like. I would never done before. I'm kind of open to it now, just after being out here and observing the scene and how some of that, like, and again, it turned into a whole new learning experience for me because the hip hop scene out here is very different from the scene I came from. So, like, I get to go to shows and hear people doing stuff that I didn't get to hear in North Carolina because nobody out there was doing it.
Yeah.
Just being on the West Coast, period, is a whole different. Like, they talk weird out here, everything. Like, it's all strange. You know what I'm saying? But like, um, the music, like especially, I don't know if y'all like, I don't think people are very knowledgeable about Seattle's musical history. You know what I'm saying? Um, Jimi Hendrix is from Seattle. Like a lot of people don't know that. There's a lot of really great music history in Seattle. So when they have like a definite Seattle sound, so to speak. Um, and I took small parts of that, just the sound, to add to the development of my sound moving forward once I moved here and started hearing everything. So, Open Bar, my first album that I released out here, is definitely unapologetically East Coast, no questions asked. But if you listen after Open Bar, you can start to hear some of the influence of the West Coast. So I think it's dope, especially having been on the East Coast my whole life. Coming out here definitely gave me some different influences to draw from.
Nice. And who like I agree with you completely. Like you don't hear much about Seattle, up or that part of the West Coast. I mean, it's all California. You hear when you think West Coast,
Absolutely.
So like who else up around that area would you like recommend to people as far as checking
Oh
out Seattle?
wow. Okay, so probably like most of the dudes I run with, Fatal Luciano, Anthony Danza, um, what's the homie name? Oh, I can't remember his name. Oh, it's a dude named L Rock. He from out here in Tacoma. He's super dope. It's a lot of talented people out here. My crew, Take Over Music Collective. Shout out to y'all, Mojo Barnes, Double XL, Soul the Interrogator, Ready Ron Beast, Monster. Um, like all of them are dope. And I'm not just saying that because they my crew. Like I wouldn't be rocking with them if they weren't. So
Right.
I would definitely say check them out. realistically, you could go if you go on Facebook and you type in like Seattle hip hop. There's a group called Seattle Hip Hop. Another group called Northwest Hip Hop with people from all over the Northwest in it. I would advise people just dive in and listen to some of the music that's getting posted in there. It's some really really dope stuff going on out here. Some of it's more vibey. Like the best thing about it is you get a little bit of everything. Some of it's vibey, some of it's super lyrical, some of it's melodic. You get a little bit of all of that. So I would say I would start with Anthony Danza, um, and mainly because his whole style is based around the music that he makes. He samples a lot of '80s records, and he dresses to match the nostalgia of the music. Fat gold rope chain, the Adidas tracksuit, Kango, the whole 9 yards. Like he kills it, and he's so dope. Fatal Luciano is more of a lyricist in the mold of what you would expect from the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? But he's originally from Chicago. Um, and I actually just interviewed him on my podcast last week. So um, yeah, I think that's a great place to start because there's so much talent out here. I could probably take the rest of this interview just naming people if I took the time to think about it. So
Yeah, and as far as the hip hop scene goes, you already mentioned about the differences. Like what kind of specific differences have you seen between the East and West as far as the hip hop scene is?
I think out here it's a little more. I won't necessarily say unified, but I will say that they have they're quicker to lean to supporting one another. Um, on the East Coast, it was like, okay, this is the biggest reason why I think this is the case too. If you think about it, on the West Coast, it's only three states.
Hmm.
It's Washington, Oregon, California. Three states. That's it. And even though you have differences even between Seattle and Tacoma, overall they're all Washingtonians. You know what I'm saying? And Washington has a vibe. Oregon has a vibe. California has a vibe. Yeah, the Bay and LA may be different, but overall, if you're in Cali, you know you're in Cali. It's a Cali vibe. On the East Coast, you got 13, 14 states right on the coast. You know what I'm saying? So like the differences between those places become more pronounced because there's so many. So even between North Carolina, South Carolina, very different. New York, New Jersey, very different. Um, so when you look at it like that, the competition is a lot more fierce on the East Coast. So a lot of the unity and stuff that I do see out here, and the support that I see out here, and even Atlanta, I will use them as an example. Atlanta, I think the Atlanta model kind of leaked over here to the West Coast. And even in Atlanta, where they support each other really heavily, like it's not as heavy out here as it is down here. It's way better than it is for most of the East Coast because, like I said, it's so much competition because that's what we come from. We come from the ciphers and battling and all that other stuff. And a lot of people out here and in other places didn't have to go through that phase because we had already did it. They may have picked it up for a while, but by the time they got to making music, like it was really just make the record now. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't got to do all that. Just make the record. They did that part already. So yeah, so it's way less competitive in that sense, but it is more competitive, I think, so in terms of stage performance, um, just the stuff that goes into the music out here is so vivid. So when I watch people put their music together, or I start seeing the videos that come out of what people are making out here, I realize, oh, like y'all are artists. Like this ain't no, you know what I'm saying? I heard a beat, I felt like rapping, so I rap to it. Nah, like you really thought this whole thing out. You know what I'm saying? Back east, you have some of that, but a lot of times you'll catch 20 videos in a row of the same that look like it's the same record. Because if you just turn the shit on mute and you don't know it's a different song playing, they all doing the same thing. It's 20 little skinny dudes with no shirt on, jumping around, sweating in the house. Like, what is wrong with y'all? First of all, why is it 20 dudes in the house sweating and ain't no women nowhere? Like, I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of wild shit that be going on, yo. That's all I'm saying.
That's funny. What was I gonna say? As far as like you talk about the competition differences. Like a lot of people like they need that competitiveness to really write. I mean, do you find it easier either way? Like do you need that sort of edge and competitiveness to get your pen out?
I'm a full time competitive MC. Always. Like, um, I said it when we did the Carter Newton interview, and I'm gonna restate it right now. Like, Eat Mad Assassin is the reason why on some songs on Carter and Newton, it was more about the flow and how it sounded as opposed to me going bar crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because he was like, dog, sometimes it don't need that. Sometimes we just need to make a dope song. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't gotta be, you know what I'm saying? I don't gotta be Lupe right now. You know what I'm saying? I can tone it down a little bit and just, you know what I'm saying, just vibe it out. But I learned that from him, working with him on that project. But other than that, every single time I pick up a pen to write, my objective is to obliterate whatever's in front of me, whether it be the beat, whether it be a feature artist that's gonna be on my song, whether I'm the feature artist on somebody else's song. Somebody hit me up for a record, hey, I want you on this song. You better bring your A game then. I promise you, you better do it because and don't send your verse when you send me the beat. Just send me the beat with the hook on it. Because if I hear your verse and it ain't good, I'm gonna use my entire verse to show the world just how bad your verse is. Um, that's just the way I am. You know what I'm saying? I was bred in battle culture, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know no other way to be. I do strive to make dope music, but to me, the lyricist and the beat, it's a marriage of sorts, but it's also a competition. I done heard a lot of so-called rappers get their ass kicked by a dope beat. You know what I'm saying? I heard it too many times, and I told myself, I promised myself I'd never fall victim to that. So that's pretty much where I'm at with it when it comes to writing. Anyway.
But there's also a anecdote for that. And the only reason I think about that is because I I love bars, and I was sitting and I was listening to Royce. Royce did a diss track,
Ooh,
and it was so beautifully written. Lyrically, it should have been in a Louvre. It was so beautifully written.
wow. Yes.
And then I listened to Lupe, and he dismantled all of that beauty and made it seem trite,
Yeah. I feel
using the simplest bars and flows, but discredited all the beauty that was in that song. So I think
yeah.
people get so get get so into bars that they forget that you can disarm a bar just by ta- just by having a flow, or just by making a simple statement to undercut everything that's beautiful about lyricism.
Yeah. Simplicity is a powerful tool if you know how
Mm-hmm.
to use it. You know what I'm saying? As far as Royce and Lupe go, when I listened to those two tracks, I felt like Royce was trying to say, I felt like Royce was saying, check this out. I'm gonna rap better than you. And then
Mm-hmm.
Lupe said, nah, I don't care about rapping better than you. I want to talk shit to you. You know what I'm saying? Uh-oh. There we go. Ah, yeah. So yeah, I think that's where the line got drawn in that battle. And I was like, man, I really wish that Royce would have just came in with his ninja sword and been like, all right, look, we just going for throats. I'm not getting ready to try to be pretty with this. I'm not getting ready to try to put a bunch of words together and do da 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 da. I'm just gonna come at you. And he didn't do that. And he suffered because Lupe did exactly that. And
He,
that's one of the things
mhm,
that cost me in a battle before. It cost me in a battle before because I was trying to out rap the guy, but I wasn't battling him. I was just rapping. And he was coming directly at me. And he won. You know what I'm saying? I can admit I took
mhm,
that battling is a tricky game, you know what I'm saying? You can't go in there half assed or trying to, you know what I'm saying, trying to be too smooth or classy with it. If you watch any URL, RBE, any of the battle leagues, you hear the type of shit they talking. Like that's the type of stuff that on the corner get you punched in the face. But in battle rap, it's
mhm.
it's allowable. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I don't battle anymore. Because I come from, we don't do that. So
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like I ain't trying to catch no charge behind no rap battle. So yeah, I get you. I feel you, 110%.
Yeah, I ain't never been one to get to let a yo mama joke slide.
You feel me? You feel me? Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm feeling like. And it's different when you like a lot of times when I'm writing songs, I'm always mindful of what I'm about to say and how it might be perceived by somebody other than myself. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? I know how I feel about what I'm saying, but I also have to take into account that the person listening to this, if I'm telling a story, they may be going through this. And I don't want to minimize their trauma or minimize their pain, but I do want to be able to put it in a capsule and tell them, look, hey, that ain't got to define you, yo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a problem and it's something that you're dealing with, but that ain't got to define you. Um, and it's harder to do that. Well, no, actually, it's easy to do it. It's harder to do it though when your mind only works in one direction. Like Lupe
mhm,
has proven that his mind works in multiple ways. He's one of the most versatile, diverse lyricists I've ever heard. Like he's incredible. He
mhm.
doesn't get his just due, in my opinion. But even somebody like Royce doesn't get his just due, in my opinion. Sci the Prince doesn't get his just due, in my opinion. Like these are people that I feel like see both sides of that equation and know the time to turn it on or turn it off. Royce just made the wrong choice in that battle with Lupe.
And it's kind of what I love about you and E in a collaboration. Um, y'all know when to pull it back, and y'all know when to let the other shine,
Oh yeah,
even if um, e- even without sacrificing your art, y'all have a way of moving a track together to where it's just smooth transitions all the way through. I love that about y'all.
the funniest thing in the world. When we was working on the album, we did the song American Dream, and at the time it didn't have no title, so it was just named after the beat. Can't remember what it was called, but like
Hmm.
I recorded my verse and I did the hook and I sent it to E. And he was like, why your verse so short? And I was like, well, I just rhymed where the verse goes in the beat. Like if you need me to make it longer, I will. He was like, well, let me lay my verse, then we'll revisit it. He laid his verse, I heard it, and I was like, oh, you just gonna get on the track and beat me up like that? Like, what are you doing? And he was like, nah, man, the song is dope. He said the song sounds good because your flow goes directly into the hook. Like it sounds like it's supposed to go together. Then my flow closed it out. I was like, yeah, but you barred that shit to death. And he was like, yeah. He said, but don't worry about that because there's gonna be another song where the shoe gonna be on the other foot, and that's how we balance this out. You know what I'm saying? So I've had to learn a lot about rapping with other people from working with
Hmm.
E. Um, I record a lot by myself because I don't like dealing with other people's bullshit. So
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? I don't want to wait on no verse. I don't want to hear you say, no, let me do that again. I don't none of that. I'll just do it myself. So like I
Yeah,
mean, that's I don't know, J. Cole, Carolina shit, man. I guess it's a Carolina thing. I don't know.
I watched you. I listened to Extraordinary so many times that I probably know that sucker by heart. What um the tribute to Malcolm X was so well done, and I don't even know what to say about it because I'm still kind of in awe about that track.
Thank you.
Can
Thank
you
you.
tell me how that came about? What was your thought process behind it? Because it's so beautiful to me.
I think Malcolm X was like my first hero. You know what I'm saying? Other than my well, let me take that back. My dad was my first hero, but like after him, Malcolm was my second hero. So every year on Malcolm's birthday, like we do a little thing, you know what I'm saying? But this year we wasn't gonna be able to do it. So my guy was like, well, why don't you just do a joint for him? And I was like, yeah, let's do that. So he sent me the beat and I wrote the first verse, wrote the hook. But the second verse, like a lot of people don't, a lot of people who ain't really hip to Malcolm won't know. The second verse, every bar has the title of a Malcolm X speech in it. You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of hard to do it because some of his speeches didn't have names. They were just like It was the date and where he did the speech at. So I had to dig hard to find the titles of the actual speeches, and I was able to work those into the verse. And I feel like doing that song, because I got another joint I did called Kobe um, a couple years ago, and it was I had recorded the song already. We were waiting to drop the album, and then Kobe died. And I went back and recorded the third verse, which wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? The third verse wasn't there, and I even start the verse off with like even though this song was crafted, months before occurrence that was so tragic. Like I think the part that people missed was the whole point of doing that record and the Malcolm X joint is I'm trying to capture the essence and put it in words for people who may not really understand what these people stood for. You know what I'm saying? You've seen Kobe play ball, but you don't understand what Mamba mentality really is. You know what I'm saying? You might have heard a Malcolm X speech or seen somebody wearing a Malcolm X shirt or running around talking about by any means necessary. But do you really know what Malcolm was about? Do you know why Malcolm X was assassinated? Do you realize that that whole time he was with the nation, that the government never considered him a threat? It wasn't until he left the nation and said, "Hey, I don't hate white people. Like we need to work together." That's when he became a threat. When he said, "I'm gonna take the U.S. to the UN and take them up on charges," that's when he became a threat. All of that white people, the devil bullshit, nobody was afraid of that. The government wasn't scared of that because they was like, we know that it's gonna take more than y'all to win this. It ain't enough for y'all to do it. You know what I'm saying? But when you start talking about bringing people together, that create a whole different kind of monster for them. So that song for me was my way of saying, hey, for those of y'all that didn't know, let me put this in a nice, pretty little capsule for you in two verses and a couple hooks, and give you this, and maybe it'll make you go look deeper into who Malcolm really was.
Yeah, that it's the same strategy used over and over again. It was used with MLK, and it was also used with hip hop.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, I love that out. I love that song, and it is forever in my playlist.
Um,
And it's so brilliantly done. I because I was feeling some type of way about Juneteenth. So
yeah, yeah.
for some reason that song was just a balm for me, and it is soothing to me, and it gives me that fighting spirit again when you just want to be like, I hate Texas so much.
Texas is something special. Hey, I'm trying to come out there on tour, but I'm like, yo, man, I don't know, man. I might do the show in Texas and just leave that night and head to the next spot. Like, I ain't hanging out there. That's crazy. Oh man, as a matter of fact, the guy who produced that beat lives in Texas.
Mhm.
He did that and he did the Kobe record. So you get a chance, check the Kobe joint out. I think you'll like that extra.
Where does he live in Texas?
Outside of Dallas, I think. Yeah, right
Yeah,
outside of Dallas.
Texas is a different beast. It just depends on where you at. Outside of Dallas is normally a robust black community of um, economically economically advanced people,
Okay,
economically advanced black people.
okay. Yeah, I mean uh, he do alright for himself. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't doubt it. Like I ain't been out there yet. So I'm like he moved out there. He moved down there right before I moved out here. I think so. Like the last 6 years, like I was doing a lot of running around on the West Coast. I went on tour a couple times out here, and then by the time I got ready to go down there, like COVID hit. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna have to wait. But now that I ain't gonna say. I was about to say something stupid and say now that COVID over, but it ain't over. They just got tired of losing money. But now that things is opened up a bit, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make my way down there because why not? They say everything bigger in Texas. I want to know.
What's this producer's name, Seven?
Fred Benz, that's my guy. That dude Benz when we live it entertainment. So when y'all see my post and y'all see the hashtag we live it, that's what I'm talking about.
All right.
Me, Benz, and Big Bruh said, you know what I'm saying?
So speaking of Juneteenth, because like I said, I was feeling some type of way about Juneteenth,
Rightfully so.
being especially being a national holiday. I just sucked it up and was like, okay, it is what it is now.
You know,
It is what it is now, and I kind of did a little history and research, and I was like, okay, I can accept that. But uh, does it mean anything to you in particular? Did you observe it or celebrate this year?
nah, I didn't, and I didn't mainly because of the whole national holiday thing. Like I basically feel like black. Okay, let me see if I can say this right. I feel like Juneteenth in and of itself is something worth celebrating. Um, but I think that the whole push to make it a national holiday and all of that, I don't think that was coming from us. It was coming from a lot of other places, and we kind of co-opted that and not realizing that making Juneteenth a national holiday included people in the celebration that they had nothing to do with. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that to be on no separatist shit or none of that. But like at the end of the day, a lot of other holidays ain't really our holidays. We just celebrate them because we're here. You know what I'm saying? But like Juneteenth is supposed to be a celebration for us for a very specific reason. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that other people can't partake in it, but making it a national holiday kind of makes it everybody's holiday as opposed to what it's supposed to be. So like, I didn't participate in any events or anything like that. We went out and did our regular community work that Saturday. That Sunday was also Father's Day. I did recognize that since I got kids and I got a father. That's an awesome fucking guy. So like, for me, that day was more about Father's Day than anything else. I don't know. You know, people see Juneteenth being a national holiday as an advancement. I don't really see it as that. I kind of look at it like a step backwards person, but it is what it is.
So I kind of had the same feeling that you had because the date was very specific to Texas, you know,
Absolutely.
and but after listening to some of my elders, they look at it at the reason they wanted it to be a national holiday was because they are trying so hard to change what slavery was, and this day makes them have to talk about it.
Absolutely. I'm just
So
so
that
tired of
gave
hearing
me
people
a
say
different
slavery.
perspective on why they were pushing so hard for it to be a national holiday. Because in
Right.
Texas, they want to change slavery into the word slavery. They don't want to use the word slavery anymore. They want to use it as involuntary invol-
Servitude or some dumb shit like that.
involuntary relocation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
AKA slavery. You
They
know what I'm
want to
saying?
change. So this was their way of making sure at least one day a year that nobody has an excuse not to say exactly what it is and have to have that conversation.
So let's think about that for just a second. Even if you wanted to not call it slavery, calling it involuntary relocation sounds like kidnapping. I mean, I've been through the penal system a couple times. I've had a kidnapping charge before. Luckily, they dropped it because I didn't kidnap no
And
fucking body. But
trafficking.
you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, that's all kidnapping is, involuntary relocation. So either we were slaves or we were kidnapped. So which one is it? Which one you want to
Both.
call it? Because no matter how you change the words around, you can't change history. You can't change, and no matter how many times you try to take it out of the books, the effects of what happened then are still being seen now. So you can't change that, no matter what you do. And people who know the truth, it's our responsibility to tell it. And that's why. And that's another reason why, um, especially earlier in my music, I was very pointed, in that direction, of like trying to enlighten people about certain things. I still do, just not as much because after a while it felt like I was preaching to the choir or the people just weren't listening. So I was like, I'm gonna just rap, man. I'm gonna just say whatever I want to say. Like at this point, it don't matter. If they really want to know that, we can have a conversation about it. I don't gotta rap about it. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. Ain't no biggie.
You mentioned your community work. What kind of work do you do in the community?
The bigger question would probably be what do I not do? But like we do a lot. Okay, I'm getting ready to let a cat out the bag right now that I'm probably not supposed to say in public, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Black Panther Party here in Washington. So we do a lot of things. Feeding the people. We go out and feed the homeless every other weekend. We do park cleanups every the alternate weekends. We do a lot of work with schools, the school system, without the school system, but the students anyway, the BSUs especially. Um, that's some of the biggest stuff we're working on. But that probably the biggest thing that we're involved in is the push for police accountability. But all these people, you would never think in Washington State that we had a number of people killed by the police that we do, but because people have this idea that Washington is this progressive, state where everybody gets along and it's hippieville out here and all, but it's far from that. It's just that these people are so passive aggressive, they won't tell you to their face they don't like you because you're black, or they don't like you because you're white, or they don't like you because you're native. They'll just smile on your face, act like it's all good, and secretly be plotting to lynch you like Emmett Till. You know what I'm saying? So um, that's what we fighting against. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make sure that it don't happen. And I already know that in my lifetime, I'm never going to see the change to this that I want to see. But the objective of what we're doing right now is not only empowering the community to take care of themselves and not depend on the system so much, but also to start sparking those younger brains that got another 30, 40, 50 years to run. You know what I'm saying? It sparked them to want to pick up the torch to finish what we're starting. Um, my dad was a Black Panther. Huey P. Newton was probably my third hero. So that it was a no brainer when they started the chapter out here and they asked me to join that I was gonna do it. So I'm being embroiled in that a lot, and unfortunately, I mean, I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunate. Sometimes it takes my focus away from the music, and I just kind of had to decide what's more important, this community work or the music. Like which one is more important? The community work is probably more important, but as long as these bars keep tumbling around in my head, the music gonna keep coming. So I can't turn it off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, and then in light of all the everything that's been going on, like the January 6th, Black My Lives Matter, all the mass shootings and things. How do you how do you keep how do you keep going? Like how do you keep yourself motivated or keep the faith and even in the community um to get everybody to keep moving forward?
It's hard. I won't even lie. It's real difficult. It's because some days I wake up and I turn on, even if I don't turn on the TV, I pick up my phone just to see what time it is, and I got like news break apps and all that, so I know what's happening like immediately, and I don't have to wait to find out. Um, and I just open it, and the first two, three, four things I read just have me like, God, we starting the day like this today? Come on, man! Like, it get depressing sometimes, and I be feeling like, man, what's the point? Like, why am I out here doing this? Why am I out here putting my life on the line and risking my safety? You know what I'm saying, for something that may never come to fruition. But I always remember what Fred Hampton said when I think about that. And he said, if you dare to struggle, you dare to win. And if you dare not to struggle, then you don't deserve to win. So it's a struggle every day to get up and go out and do what need to be done. But I would rather do that and die trying to fight than to not fight and just live the rest of my life out and die knowing that I was a coward and didn't stand up for what was important. So it's hard, but that constant reminder every time I start feeling down, I hear Fred's voice in my head saying that. So it keeps pushing me. Believe that.
Yeah, I always tell people, especially people in the north, because they normally forget about uh, Texas. And Texas has the largest concentration of black people in the United States.
That's crazy.
4.7 million black people just in this state.
Sheesh, that's crazy.
And we are so often forgotten about.
Because people don't
So,
think about they don't think black people when they think Texas. That's why. You know what I'm
So
saying?
yeah, we always end up missing. Well, that's probably why we were 2 years late finding out we was free, because everybody just forgets it's black people in Texas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's
Y'all didn't have Amazon Prime. Nobody was gonna notify y'all.
Amazon Prime would have had that news next day.
Yeah, they didn't pay their bill. They didn't pay their Amazon Prime bill.
Yeah, Bezos would have hooked y'all right on up for the right price. You know what I'm saying? For the right price, he'd have hooked y'all right on up.
So well,
Man,
it's not that people in Texas didn't know, but since black people weren't allowed to read or write,
exactly.
nobody
That
was
creates
gonna
a whole
tell them. You know.
yeah, that creates a whole different problem when you got a whole mass of people in any place and information that is quite important to their survival is being distributed and they can't read it.
Hmm.
That's dangerous. That's
Yeah.
extremely dangerous. So
Well, that was the purpose, and I think a lot of times when you're forgotten about, you feel like an island amongst yourself.
absolutely.
And so I always tell people, Texas is bigger than Houston and Dallas. And occasionally, if you go into other parts of Texas, you will see that the concentration of black people across this state is ridiculous. And you will have fighters and people who are passionate about the cause. They're just spread so far apart, and people so few and far between come and actually talk with us.
No doubt.
They
Yeah.
Are
talk
there
at
ch-
us, but they don't talk with us.
are there chapters in Texas? Seven?
In Texas. Deep in the heart of Texas.
No, I was wondering. No, no, seven. I was wondering, are there chapters of the Panther Party in Texas?
We actually started one. My brother Black Son down there. We getting ready to start a chapter down there. He's in. I think he's in Dallas. Yeah, he's in Dallas. Now there's some. I think it's some new Black Panther Party chapters down there. We don't really rock with them, but like at the end of the day, I think the biggest issue with that is just ideological. Um, I'm hoping that we can find a way to bridge those gaps and just bring all the Panthers across the country together. Instead of there being 10 million formations of Panthers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't make sense to do that. Um, if we all fighting for the same thing, then why we should, it make more sense for us to fight together. We stronger that way.
It's
So yeah,
Splinter.
yeah, you know what I'm
It,
saying? So Texas is coming up.
mm,
I think we got a guy in Baton Rouge that want to start a chapter down there. Um, yeah, it's spreading fast, man, and I hope that it doesn't have the same effect that it had on the Panthers in the '60s. We do have the advantage of improved communication now, so that helps. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to write a letter and let it take a week to get to wherever you're sending it to. You can
Yeah.
email somebody
or
and they get it
tweet,
immediately,
yes.
or shoot them a text or something, and they get it right away. So that solve a lot of those problems. But even though technology advances solve problems for us, it create new problems because our technology ain't the only thing that advanced. Like they create the technology, so their technology is definitely advanced. You know what I'm saying?
I saw the new Panther Party one time in action at a Dead Prez concert in Hunter
DPs, whatever.
College. Yeah, it was wild. So the lights went out. They opened up for the Roots, I think, from 2001,
That's a
2002.
dope ass show right there.
Yo, it was nuts. So the lights went out, and then all I see is these shadow figures like surround the entire auditorium, right? On both levels. And the lights come on. I'm like, yo, that's the Panthers. But I didn't realize it was the new Panther Party. And then they come out there and they start doing wait. So yeah, they go into the auditorium and these shadows move around and then the lights come back on. And when the lights come back on, I realize it's the new Panther Party. It's about 20 to 30 members in there. And then Fred Hampton son, I guess that's Fred
Yeah,
Hampton Jr. or the
Fred Hampton
second
Jr. Yeah, no
Jr.
doubt.
He gets up there and speaks. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's Fred Hampton's son. And
Yeah,
I don't know, the naivete of me is the Black Panthers are still around. they still doing their thing. That's funny. I was just in shock of the whole, the whole setup, the whole thing. And then they say, yo, pull out your dollar. If you got a dollar in your pocket, pull out the dollar bill. And people were like pulling out a dollar bill. And then people started lighting. They were like, light your dollar bills. And then as soon as they lit it up, that's when It's Bigger Than Hip Hop came on. And they tore that. The place was ridiculous. Okay. I was like frozen. Like, what is this? So that's my experience with the new Panther Party.
Dead Prez, man. I don't even know how I left them out the equation, but Dead Prez is another part of the of my influence, like heavily. Once they came out, it kind of redirected my fire. You know what I'm saying? I actually went to high school with M1 from Dead Prez. He was a senior when I was a freshman. So we didn't talk a lot in the beginning, but we ended up running track together at the end of the year,
in
and
North
kind of got a
Carolina.
in North Carolina. So, so when I actually got my start at activism on a serious level with the rural movement, which they was also a part of, and it was funny because when we started the chapter in North Carolina, they was like, "Yo, so call Matulu in Brooklyn, and he'll give you the rundown." And I was like, "All right." So I called him. And I'm talking to him on the phone. And I'm like, yeah. And then I hear people talking to him in the back, telling him it's time to go to the studio or some shit like that. And I was like, studio, what you do? He was like, oh, said we rap. I was like, where? I was like, what you go by? He was like, M1 from Dead Prez. I said, get the fuck out of here. Seriously? You know what I'm saying? So, and then like not too long after that, maybe a week or so after that, a magazine came out. I think might have been The Source. And I seen their pictures and I was like, wait a minute. I know this dude. Where do I know him from? And I was kept trying to put it together because I had been out of high school, shit, almost 9 years at that point. So no, well, like 8 years, but whatever. So I looked at the picture, I looked at it, and I started reading the article, and they said his name, and I was like, oh shoot, I do know him. We went to school together. So the next time I talked to him, I was like, yo, son, why you ain't? You know what I'm saying? I started asking him like, yo, you went to, you know what I'm saying, high school? He was like, yeah. And I was like, bro, you don't remember me? And I started running it down to him. I was like, I'm the tall dude that used to rap. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. He was like, oh, yeah, I remember you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that was really cool, man. But the crazy thing about it is me and M1, like, made that connection then. But over time, like, me and Stickman probably cooler than me and M1 just on some rap shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm highly impressed by those brothers, man. Stickman probably one of the most underrated rappers in the history of hip-hop. I said it.
So collaboration coming soon.
I hope. I've been hoping on that for a minute, man. It's just always been something in the way. But like, I think now that they ain't got no label ties and none of that crazy stuff, we might be able to make it happen. So we're gonna try that.
All right. So I do want to segue into a question now. This is
No
from
doubt.
your partner in rhyme. You see how I did that? That was nice.
Oh, shoot.
Rat Assassin has I'm wondering here. This is a random fun fact. Is it true or not true? Rumor has it. Random fun fact. I thought they said. Little birdie told me. He says that you're into martial arts. Is it true that you're a black belt? Is this true? And what degree, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I'm a black belt in Shotokan. I also study. I actually just started studying a couple years ago Jeet Kune Do, which is Bruce Lee's personal, martial arts invention.
Yeah, please break down those two for me because I'm Asian. I don't know what the heck you just said. I thought you said like a mugu by God pan and give me a number 5 with fries. Break down those two for me, please. And duck sauce and hot sauce.
So Shotokan is just a different form of karate. You know what I'm saying? It's Shotokan is a very destructive art. One of the first things that my sensei told me was, when this is all over, you should have the discipline not to kill somebody, but you will be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just suffice it to say that I've learned how to break things I didn't think were able to be broken in a human body, and I go out of my way to avoid fighting people because of that. Once you become a black belt, there's a certain degree of discipline you have to show, and you also have to register once you become a black belt. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but you have to register. You have to register.
You're a registered weapon. You yourself are a registered weapon.
Basically, so if I was to just go up and randomly put somebody in the face for no reason at all, they could literally charge me with assault with a deadly weapon. They could literally do that more
if
than
they
just
knew that
assault
you
or
had a
battery.
black belt.
Jeet Kune Do is more of an amalgamation of different arts. So Bruce Lee did study particular arts, but he started taking bits and pieces of all the different arts that he respected and admired, and put them all together and added his own sauce to it. So um, a lot of people know Bruce Lee's probably one of the most celebrated martial artists, especially in the hip hop community. Um, and Bruce's Jeet Kune Do was deadly, like absolutely deadly. So if you've ever seen like a 1 inch punch, and just when you see him doing the arms and it look like everything's like going in slow motion, or like you're looking at a strobe light, it's real shit. It's real shit.
So you basically just said what Lupe said, that he avoids fighting because he can kill people in so many ways that it's best not to even get to that point.
Yeah, I mean it's a it's a slippery slope of sorts, because when you think about it, your first instinct is to defend yourself all the time. If somebody attacks you, your first instinct is to defend yourself. However, the reality is, when you're in a certain position, we have certain capabilities, you have to be mindful that a fight can turn into a funeral really quickly if you're not careful. So, um, like my whole objective is kind of to avoid that. And a lot of times I try to talk people off the ledge. I don't go around advertising that I'm a, you know what I'm saying, that I'm a black belt. But some of my friends don't mind saying, "Hey, you might want to watch that. I know he ain't got no hair, but if you never seen Afro Samurai, you about to." And I mean, like, dog,
What
stop that. Don't
the
do that. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? So I mean, you could get real Bushido Brown on you real quick. But I try not to do that, because realistically speaking, I think it means more for me to talk you off that ledge and for us to come to an understanding about what the issue is, as opposed to us throwing hands. Sometimes you can't do that. Some people are completely opposed to, you know what I'm saying? Oh shoot. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to going all in, they don't want to take the opportunity to become a better person in that moment. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it should be. In most cases, it'll be like, yo, we could fight. And I could feel better about beating you up when I walk away. But what did we learn from this situation, really? You learned that you can't fight as good as me. Cool. But what did you really learn? Nothing. Because we didn't take the opportunity to talk about it and to figure out what the real problem was and get to the root of it. We could have squashed it without ever having to throw hands, and you wouldn't be laid up in the ER right now. But I mean, I'm joking, but I ain't. You know what I'm saying? It's society in and of itself is in such a tailspin already. Like, why would we add on to that when we ain't got to?
right? And that speaking of stuff like that, is as far as getting things misconstrued or just miscommunication. We kind of live in a society, or like a time where it's so easy to like spread information, like to get the wrong stuff. So when it comes to like even your music, like do you ever find that people like misinterpret what you say, and like how do you go about like setting them straight? You know what I mean?
It's funny, because I've had a lot of problems in the course of my career with being misunderstood with what I say. Um, I don't think people get the whole concept of metaphors, or what I'm saying, alliteration, or any of the little things that go into making a rhyme. You know what I'm saying? They go into making a rhyme. I want to make it sound good. I want to make it relatable to the person listening to it, but I also want it to be real. You know what I'm saying? So I was asked once in an interview about a line I said about, what did I say? I said something about basically I said something about eliminating this individual and everybody that shares their DNA. And the dude was like, "But why would you say that? Like is that something, like is that real?" And I was like, it's as real as it was when I said it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reality of the matter is, I'm a peaceful person and I don't want beef with nobody. But if it comes to it, just know I'm ready to go all the way there. You know what I'm saying? So I think the misunderstanding a lot of time comes into people taking everything literal, as opposed to sometimes recognizing when you're taking a little bit of an artistic license with what you're saying, or even saying something in a metaphorical way that made it seem really way bigger than what it was, but it was really a small thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and I've had to rectify that in conversation a lot of times with people. There's been times people thought I was taking shots at them, and I wasn't. You know, they weren't even on my radar when I was writing. Um, but that says a lot more about them than it says about me, in my opinion. If I'm saying this random thing and you felt like I was talking about you, like my mom used to say all the time, a hit dog a holler. So if you hit, you're gonna holler, you're gonna make noise. And even if I didn't mean to hit you when I threw it, if it hits you, you're gonna make noise because now you hurt and you're emotional. And whenever you're emotional, I'm gonna say this and I mean it like from the bottom of my heart. I think that music is one of the most powerful tools for controlling emotions, but it's also one of the places where people apply their emotions in the wrong place, in the wrong way, the most often. Absolutely. We get emotionally attached to artists that we shouldn't. We get emotionally attached to songs and words in songs that we shouldn't. And we give emotional energy to stuff that comes out in a song when we don't even know the person or their real purpose behind doing the art. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, being misunderstood happens all the time. People don't understand. It's like they can't calculate like, oh, maybe he's just being metaphorical when he says that. Or maybe he really felt that way when he wrote it, but he's not out here walking around in the streets with an AK ready to gun people down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't that kind of party. But yeah, I'm used to it at this point. At this juncture in my career, I don't even care. I'm like, misunderstand all you want. It is what it is. You got a problem with it? Come see me. It is what it is.
Do you feel that as well? Like speaking on the activism, Black Panther Party, like sometimes people feel that being pro-black means that you're anti X, Y, and Z, and that doesn't necessarily mean the same, right?
Absolutely.
I'm just worried about that. If like you feel like that too, when I say that I'm a part of X, or I'm a part of this, then it means oh well, that means that you're not a part of this or you're against. Like, can you speak on that with like the movement and your community activism? Like, how do you think that's misinterpreted or misunderstood?
Oh yeah, man. You would be surprised how often we get people that approach us and assume that we hate white people because we Black Panthers. Um, and I'm like, yo, nothing could be further from the truth. Honestly, nothing could be further from the truth. The reality is, me being pro-black does not mean I have to be anti anything. I'm anti injustice. I'm anti oppression. I'm anti bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
White supremacy.
I'm anti white supremacy. I'm anti starving kids. I'm anti, you know what I'm saying, mandatory minimums in prison. I'm anti all of that. But I'm not anti no race of people. Like, why would I be that? Because when you think about it, and I said this to somebody yesterday, I said everybody who exercises white supremacy on your life ain't white. White supremacy is a mentality. It ain't a
Say
color.
that again. Amen.
It's a mentality. It's not a color. So like it case in point, Clarence Thomas is a prime example of white supremacy with a black face. You know
Boom.
what I'm saying? He
This
basically
video
Uncle.
will get struck. Mixed up. Boom.
Sorry, I mean I'm just telling the truth, man. He ain't nothing but Uncle Ruckus in the fucking Supreme Court justice world. That's all that is. You know what I'm saying? And
That
I say what I say, and I know a lot of times because I don't talk about it in my music as much as I used to. People be thinking I'm off that, like I ain't with it no more. And I'm like, nah, bro, you don't understand. I'm more with it now than I ever been. I just don't gotta rap about it now. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here living it. I don't have to talk about it. So you
You're
know what I'm
active.
saying?
You're active.
Yeah. So I mean, that there's a large sect of the community and the world who have an extreme misunderstanding. But the reason why that exists is because anytime black people have stood up and said, "Hey, this is about us," it's always been looked at, with the side eye. You know what I mean? And I'm like, every other group in the world can do it, but us. Everybody else can do it. Stop Asian hate. There was a whole ass movement, and in a matter of a month, there was legislation on the books. We've been around this motherfucker 500 years on the bottom. You know what I'm saying? And every little piece of legislation that's been passed in the interest of black people is on the chopping block right now behind Roe v. Wade going down. Like we ain't. I'm not even gonna get all extra political right
and
now. I'm gonna just say
and
I'm,
even that legislation
exactly.
does not say black.
Yeah.
It says this: no matter race, creed, religion. It doesn't say black. Nothing in any legislation says black.
The Voting Rights Act has to be renewed every so often. You think about something. The fact that I can go to a voting booth and vote for the politicians who are going to make decisions in this city that are going to affect my life has to be renewed. It's not just a right that I have because I'm a citizen of this country. That don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? But like that's the type of stuff that they'll take and say, "Oh, well, you anti blah blah. I'm anti police. I am anti that, and I don't care what color you are." So when it's all said and done, nah, I'm not anti-white. No, I'm not anti-Hispanic. No, I'm not anti-Asian. I love everybody the same until you show me that you don't love me. Then it don't matter what you look like. You officially the opposite at that point. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what you look like. So people got to get past. I tell people this all the time, man. Racism ain't the problem. Racism is not the problem. We've been made to believe racism is the problem because as long as racists can stay divided, we're never going to be powerful enough to overcome what we're facing. The system's the problem. And the Constitution of this country gives the people of this country the power to undo the system if it ain't working for them. But every time we try, what happens? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
the reason that is because it is a political talking point. So as long as they can keep us fighting against each other, then then we can't see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture has always been white supremacy. And the bigger picture has always been a wealth gap. Because I say it all the time, when you are poor and you are white, it's very hard to understand white privilege. And it makes people defensive because they say, well, I haven't had any privileges. I don't understand what you mean by white privilege. And people don't take the time to explain white privilege doesn't mean that you're doing better than everybody else in the world. White privilege just simply means that the reason you're doing bad has nothing to do with your skin color.
absolutely, absolutely, it's got nothing to do with it. I was having a conversation with my girlfriend, and she was like, "So, I mean, like for a long time, I didn't understand what white privilege meant." And I was like, "I feel you." And it was odd at first for me to hear her say it because she's white. So like it was like, what? You don't know what that means? But then I understood that like she from the hood though. She ain't grow up with money. Like so she like the things that we would apply that tag to, she's never had the benefit of being able to. She's never had the opportunity to benefit from those things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, so that's why we talk to like our main partners is a group called the Panther Party. They were the White Panther Party, but they changed their name because they'll take anybody that's not black. You know what I'm saying? Because black people automatically have to come to us. But um, the one thing about that, you know what I'm saying, we are showing just through our actions that we understand that it ain't about race. A lot of things in this country boil down to dollars and cents. That's what a lot of it comes down to. And another part of it comes down to people being poorly educated or being educated simply enough to go get a job, but not educated enough to understand what their true position is in society and be able to do something about it. If you go to school and I could teach you to come work for me and you think you're doing all right, but what you're really doing is making me rich and you really living paycheck to paycheck. Like even if you make $100,000 a year, if you can make $100,000 a year, how much you think the company that's paying you that $100,000 is making? And is that $100,000 they paying you truly representative of the work you're doing for them? You know what I'm saying? All of those things get thrown out the window. So like even when it comes to hip hop, the reason why I won't sign with a record label is I'm not gonna give you the opportunity to get wealthy off of my hard work when you don't believe in me as a person. You might believe in my music, cool. But I need you to invest in more than the music if we're gonna do this. It's gotta be an investment in me as a man, as an individual, as a person who has children and significant other to take care of. Keep those things in mind when you're talking about splitting this pie up, because you wouldn't have a pie to split if I wasn't rapping. You know what I'm saying? Like, the rappers ain't never understood. These record labels could sell all this other music all day long, but hip hop is the driving force in fucking music around the world. So if we said, yo, ain't none of us signing with a label, none of us, we all gonna band together. We're gonna put our own music out. We're gonna form our own distribution network, and that's how we're gonna run it. A whole lot of record labels that's standing right now be sunk if hip hop walked away from them. But hip hop artists don't understand their own power, because we've been taught for the longest that we don't got no power unless we sign with a record label and give away our publishing and everything else. And I'm not gonna give nobody that. That's why the song Montu came out the way it did. Um, that's why the hook is like, I ain't trying to hear nothing. You know what I'm saying? What I say, a lot of y'all suckers, so I ain't trying to hear nothing. Ain't no dollars in your trending topic. Okay, if ain't no dollars in your trending topic, why are you still talking about that if it's not moving you forward? No way. When I say no dollars, I don't even necessarily mean money. I mean anything that's building towards something more significant than what you already got. You know what I'm saying? If you're not doing that, then why are we talking? I don't understand why we even having a conversation. We can talk about what's going to keep us in this same spot, or the reasons why we in this same spot when we get out of it. Right now, we just need to be worried about getting out of it. I don't want to keep. Um, People say rappers are conscious, and they this, that, and the third. And I say, dog, I don't. A lot of these rappers y'all call conscious. You know what I hear? I hear reporters. All they doing is telling you what's wrong. They're not giving you no solutions. What's conscious about that? I'm not conscious because I can tell you exactly what's happening outside. That just means my eyes work. You know what I'm saying? If I could tell you what's happening outside, but then I can tell you how to fix it, that's a different story. Now we really talking about something. Um, I mean, like I refer back to my lyrics a lot when I talk to people about certain things, because I know I've said a lot of these things already in music, and now that I'm saying them outside of the booth, you know what I'm saying, I refer back to what I've said in the booth to kind of clarify my positions. But like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, the music industry is stupid. I love the music. I hate the business. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it is what it is.
I think one of the great things about growing up um, on a in a farming area is we missed uh, a lot of stuff, and we understood what it meant to be community, and you know, not to leave somebody's crops in the field.
Mm,
So quite often we just go from field to field picking. You know, we clear ours out, and then we get on the wagon and go to the neighbor's field and help them clear theirs out. You know, there's a sense of community because out of necessity.
absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's a lot of what's missing is the sense of community.
Oh yeah,
Do
definitely.
you how do we even begin to get that back? Because I know when the breakdown happened was with the crack era. So
That was ugly.
how do you even develop that sense of trust again after it has been so thoroughly extinguished?
I think and that this applied to community. This apply to hip hop. This apply to everything. A lot of it goes back to people finding their own, reestablishing their knowledge of who they are as an individual. Because until you know who you are, knowing how you fit in with other people, and knowing how to best work with other people to offer what you have, and take advantage of what they have, that's the only way you're gonna do it. Like, you have to have a real true sense of who you are and why you do what you do and what it is exactly that you're trying to bring to people. Um, like when we first came out, you know, saying, okay, we'll keep it music. This is a hip hop podcast. Let's keep it music. Okay, so bang, I got 20 rappers in the same city. We all know each other. We all kick it with each other. We do shows together. Occasionally we record together. But at no juncture has any of these artists said, "Hey man, when you drop your album, all the other 19 of us are gonna share it. We're gonna, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna," because the reason why that doesn't happen is because most artists aren't secure enough in themselves to try to shine light on someone else. You know what I'm saying? So once we reestablish that sense of self, it's easier to say, hey, I know who I am and I'm comfortable in who I am. So I don't have a problem with sharing this man's work and telling people that I think he's dope. You know what I'm saying? A lot of rappers won't do it because they're so self-centered and they don't have a real understanding of how they fit into the hip hop community and that they are literally shirking their responsibility to the public by not sharing other music that they find dope. You know what I'm saying? I think it's petty. I think it's super petty that people do that because if I believe in somebody and I love their music, I'm gonna share it with my network because I want my fans to hear it too. You know what I'm saying? There's a big discrepancy between the artists who not only love the art but also have
Mhm.
respect for the artists. Uh, you can love the art and have no respect for the artist, and that's what happens in a lot of cases, which leads to that lack of a sense of community that you were just talking about. There's a real need for us to get back to, hey, do you need my help? Is there any way that I can assist you? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care. Like I got homeboys who done got on record deals, touring the whole nine, and I helped them do it. Did I get any of it? Nah. But that's okay. That ain't what I did it for. I did it because I believe in you and I think you can do this. So if that's what it takes, I'll take a step back and help you do that. Until we can do that as a collective, not just in music, but in every other facet of life, reestablishing a real, true sense of community is not possible.
And I kind of think that also has a lot to do with the audience that is listening to the music because if I don't respect you as an artist, I really don't give a shit about your music. I'm not going to listen to it if I can't respect you as an artist. You know, there are artists that I won't listen to that's big because I don't
Yes,
respect them as artists. I don't respect them as part of the hip hop culture. To me, they're not.
absolutely.
So I don't include them in my stratosphere because you don't belong here.
You know what? You saying that is the song "Pieces of a Dream." That's really what that's about. Um, and that's why the hook is you lying to your team. All that tough talk is just pieces of a dream. You know what I'm saying? Like realistically,
Mhm.
there's a whole lot of people out here selling their people wolf tickets, selling the people selling they people wolf tickets, wolf tickets, selling the people wolf tickets, and they not anything close to what they're representing in their music. Um, and so yeah, it's hard to respect those people, or even consider them a part of the culture.
All right.
I was
That's
leaving
not
it open for you, Morgan.
I
I knew
know.
you were waiting to
I
get
was
in.
going, and then I saw Nev on mute, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. We're just
that
gonna
look
let
on her
her
face was priceless. She was like, hold up, I can't get it. Wait, I'm trying to get it.
be. Okay. I was actually gonna bring up your latest album, the Shooting Stars 2.
Woo! Thank you.
How first off, I love it. It's amazing. But
Thank
like, how did you decide like it was ready to like for the next one? Because it's a sequel.
Right, right.
So what point were you like, I'm ready to make this next part of this?
I think it was after I did the album Here I Am, right before we went into Carter and Newton. I was like, yo, E, so what we gonna do? You know, we did the song Greatness and then we kind of decided to do the album after that. And so as we were working on the album, as we were getting to the tail end of it, I was like, bro, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. And he was like, so I mean, he's like, what all you got in the can? Like what you know, what's on deck? And then I was listening to some music on Spotify, and one of my songs from Shooting Stars, the original Shooting Stars, came out, came on, and I was like, um, you know what I should do? I should call Trust. So I hit him up, and I was like, "What's up, man? You ready to run this back?" And he was like, "Let's do it." It just felt like it was time because every album, every one of my albums has a specific purpose and a specific reason why I worked with the person I worked with on that project. Shooting Stars 2 was my introduction to the Northwest. I mean, Shooting Stars was my introduction to the Northwest because Trust is from out here. So when I started working with him, I started getting, plays out here, not on like commercial radio, but like internet radio, things like that. And some of the hip hop community out here started to know my name from working with him. So since I had done, I think I probably dropped like 4 or 5 projects since the last Shooting Stars, but all of them represented a specific time period and a specific mindset. I realized doing Carter, doing Carter and Newton kind of put me back in the mind frame I was in doing the first Shooting Stars. And I was like, this might be a perfect time to revisit that and see if we can catch lightning in a bottle again. And I'm guessing we did. I ain't got no bad reports back about it yet, so I guess we did okay.
Yeah, and the cover art. I mean, like, can you explain like the cover art for that to people? Like, I love it. I love it. I love the I love what I see in it. But could you explain that to people?
Yeah, so like it's called The Eye of the Storm. So basically, the cover art is me kind of walking out of all the commotion and the distractions and finally finding some clarity, you know what I'm saying? But if anybody, fans of the show The Wire, if they're familiar with who Omar Little is, they would remember, Omar was a stick up kid, and he was a gangster, however you want to put it, but he had a code, he had morals, he had a way that he stuck to. He didn't do a whole lot of cursing, um, and I don't curse when I rap, so that it fit perfectly. Um, and I used to be in the same line of work, so to speak. So we just gonna call it that. So um, to me, that cover symbolizes me finding myself in the midst of everything going on. Okay, I can put it in perspective for you. If y'all familiar with The Wire, on season 4, um, when Omar decided that he was going to stick up the whole shipment and just take all they dope. Um, there were moments prior to that where everything was chaotic for him. Everything was going crazy. People were dying left and right. Things were just out of sorts. And it was like the light came on, and he was like, "Nope, I know exactly what to do. I know what it's going to take for me to not only in this situation, but get away from here and change my life." And he did it. And in that moment of clarity, it was like he was walking in the eye of the storm. I was like, yeah, this album is me walking in the clarity of who I am as an artist and why this was necessary. So that's kind of what that album represents for me. You know what I'm saying? That's just my take.
Do you do your own cover art? Does someone do that for you?
Nah, my homie Gabriel did that. He works for Echo Limitless. He did my cover art. He shoots my videos. He's like my right hand man. You know what I'm saying? So everything I do music related, almost every video you've seen from me since I moved out here, with the exception of like 2, he shot all of them. You know what I'm saying? So I work with him pretty exclusive on that. And he's an amazing artist. So when I told him what my vision was for the cover, he put it together. He sent me back a mock up like 10 minutes later. It was like, "What about this?" And that's literally the cover that everybody sees right now. He did it in 10 minutes. And I was like, "Yo, that's crazy. You put my head on Omar's body. You're crazy. Like, this is dope. I love it." So, it came out really well. And I think the biggest part of the cover art for me was that even in the midst of all of that going on, if you pay close attention, it's still red, black, and green. The top is red, the middle is black,
Mm-hmm.
green. It's still red, black, and green. And I didn't have to do it in such a pronounced way to just be waving the flag in people's faces and make them think that it was that kind of project. But in all actuality, it kind of is, but secretly. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it kind of is, but like real low key.
It's got to be like, do you find it easier to, because you said he worked it up pretty quickly for you. Is it a lot easier for you to like be consistently working with the same people? Like, do they get on your same wavelength, or do you prefer like branching out more?
I actually here lately have been some producers from outside of not like my circle have been reaching out to me and wanting to do work. So I've been taking some chances with that. Like Montu was one of those examples. My man Case, I know, I mean, my man Van Guns, I know him for a long time. So um he gave me the idea, like, "Yo, let's do a single." I was like, "All right, let's do it, man. Why not? Send me the beat." So he sent me a few beats to choose from. I picked the one for mine too. Normally I kind of try to stick close to who, to my team, because I know that it's not a lot of questions. You know what I'm saying? I could say something and not even really be super descriptive in what I'm saying, but they get it. You know what I'm saying? And what they bring back to me, if it's not exactly what I want, it's close, and we can make some small changes that make exactly what I want. But um, as far as the artwork and videos go, unless it's an emergency, I won't work with nobody but him. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's an emergency, if he's sick or something, he can't shoot, and I need to get it done now, I go get somebody else and do it. But I prefer to work with him. We work really fast together. He knows a lot of times what I'm thinking before I say it, and vice versa. So it makes the whole process easy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and speaking of like the producers and stuff for this last for the Shooting Stars one, who all worked on that?
Well, Trust One did all the beats. Shout out to Trust One, Tacoma legend. Trust did all the beats. I got my brother AP, Apostle AP, on two joints. He's on Window Pane, which also features my sister Brittany Nicole. They are both part of my crew from North Carolina, Sound Chamber Productions, SCP. So if you hear me scream SCP or you see hashtag SCP on my post, that's what I'm talking about. Also, I got two brothers from that I know from out here, Silas and Season, the Lunas. They are two Hispanic. They're brothers, amazing lyricists, real high energy. I got them on Boss Spitzler, as well as my homeboy Rem Still from FAMU. Also, hold over from my days in North Carolina. So I try to keep the features to a minimum, only because it wasn't a whole lot of songs, and plus, sometimes when you include too many features, it kind of clouds your vision. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want that to happen. So that's why, like, the Delunas of AP and Remy are all on one song together. Like, I didn't have to spread it out over several records. Like, they all on this one song. And then AP is on Window Pane with Brittany, with me and me, him, and Brittany. But that's just we make. If you listen to Window Pane, there's also another song on the original Shooting Stars called uh, what's the name of that record? I can't believe I can't remember that. The Walking Dead. That's the name of it. Walking Dead. That's the name of it. Okay, so uh, that song, Walking Dead. If you Earn Not Given off Black Seven. If you listen to the songs that myself and Apostle AP have done over the course of my career, all of them have that same impact. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it's almost always people's favorite song on the album. You know what I'm saying? Like we work well together. We did a whole album together. We actually a group called Fallen Angels. So I actually I'm gonna send y'all a link to that because I think y'all will like the Fallen Angels album because I know y'all like that real hip hop shit. Um so that's who all worked out. My brother Imagery did. I got him listed on the song "Get It," but like all he did was say "Get it, get it." And he was kind of mad because it's like, man, you shouldn't even have put my name on that. I was like, nah, bro, I want you to get your credit for me. Like you didn't have to do that for me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna make sure you get your credit. And for me, that's a big thing. Making sure people get their credit for their work because for so long, so many people went through their struggles in the business. Watching Kanye West documentary told me a lot about what I'm saying. I'm not the biggest Kanye fan in the world, but I'm very interested in his story. Sometimes somebody's story to me is more important than their music. I want to know who you are. You know what I'm saying? Kanye's first three albums, love him to death. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, love it to death. But the thing that powers all of that for me is having a keen understanding of who Kanye West is as a man. Um, and that's why I think we're working on a documentary now for me. My man Quest, who produced Quest for Greatness, and we will be doing Quest for Greatness 2 very soon. He's working on a best of seven mixtape. And he said, I think it's necessary that people know what they hear now is not where it started. Like they need to know the whole story. And I was like, okay, you got the green light, man. Whatever tracks you need, take them. Do what you got to do. Um, that's important to me though. Like, cause I don't know how long. Like, I could die tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And like, God forbid, I hope it don't happen. But like, I could die tomorrow, and I don't want people to hear the music and have a misunderstanding about what it means because they didn't know who I was. You know what I'm saying? So that's just I kind of got off the answering the question at that point, but you know what I'm saying?
It makes sense because sometimes I look at Kanye West, and those three albums that you're talking about are the albums where he was most protected.
Yes,
And after that, it's the music and his life has felt like a person that is a little lost and is trying to find who he is outside of that protection, if that
absolutely.
makes sense.
Yes. His mother dying was probably the worst thing that could have happened to him. Um, you around, like, I surround myself with people who make me feel confident. And not only in what I'm doing, but just confident that I don't have to worry about nothing when I'm around y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to worry about you not paying attention and somebody walking up and sucker punching me. I know somebody's paying attention all the time. So
Mhm.
so I feel safe with these people. And when I feel safe and I feel like I'm in a space where I don't have to worry, that's when the best work happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't,
Mhm.
if I'm steady looking over, I got an EP called Crown Chronicles, that I did with my man Jay Esco. And he did all the production on that. If you listen to the album, when I go back and listen to it, it's hard for me to listen to that project. You know what I'm saying? It's hard for me to listen to it because I realize when I listen to it, I can hear where I was at that point in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, my goodness, it just shakes me up every time I hear it. So, yeah, like, I get it. And Kanye's music to me has felt that way for a while now. Like, he's just not comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's felt like that for a minute. So I feel you 110%.
Yeah, it feels like he's a little lost. He doesn't know who he is, so he doesn't know what that sounds like. And he doesn't know how that fits in into the grander scheme of things. And
Right.
it seems like he's just throwing shit at the wall to see if anything sticks.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate his creativity still, like, to this day. I'm never gonna I don't knock people
Mm-mm.
for being them. You know what I'm saying? I knock people for doing things that are outside their character and for doing harm to the culture and harm to themselves. Like, that bothers me. But you just
Mhm.
being you and you being your creative self, even if I don't like it, I'm not gonna knock you for it. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not the biggest fan in the world of Kendrick's album, but I'm not gonna knock him for it. It's just not what I wanted to hear. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the reality of the situation. So, um, now, mind you, 2 months from now, my situation may change, and I may absolutely positively love that album. But right now, I'm just like, it's okay, cool. You know what I mean? I listened to it twice when it came out, and I ain't been back to it since. So, you know what I mean? But I guarantee you, I've been dialed into, I've been dialed into, like, Benny and Conway, and that's just where I'm at right now. So, I think Kanye West is one of a large number of artists that are in the position he's in. He's just so famous, we get to see it with him. It's a whole lot of other artists we don't see it with because they're just not famous enough to be in our faces like that.
Mhm.
But it's a lot of people suffering through that, like, not feeling safe and not feeling like they can create comfortably. Having to meet demands from companies that don't understand the art, and that's why. Okay, I ain't never talked about this ever before, but I'm gonna talk about it right now. So in the '90s, late '90s, I had several different opportunities to sign record deals with major. Well, when I say major record labels, I mean major hip hop, well-known record labels. I'm not gonna say no names right now, but just say it was three of them that I was on their radar. Um, in one of those situations, um, you know, somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do, and so it didn't work out. Or somebody else didn't do what they were supposed to do. But in two of those situations, I personally can blame myself for them not coming to fruition because I didn't understand the concept of, yeah, you can still talk about it on the record. You don't need to be out here doing it. Just calm down. Chill out. You're a rapper now. You're not out there anymore. You're in here now. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get that. I didn't get the memo, obviously. So So I blew a few opportunities with record labels, but in hindsight, I don't feel bad about it because I realized, despite the fact that they were hip hop labels, when I listened to the music that was on those labels at that time period, none of it sounds like me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I fear that if I had signed one of those contracts, the first thing they were going to do is put me in a studio with X producer that works with this guy and try to make me sound like him, or put me in a studio with this other producer that works with this guy and try to make me sound like him. And I've always been afraid of that. Like that's one of the things I don't fear a whole lot in this world, but that's one of the things I'm afraid of. Having the ability to literally make me change who I am to satisfy some strange concept they have of what hip hop is supposed to be. Um, I'm never gonna do that. Like that's never gonna happen. So I thought that it was a bad thing not signing those record deals, but in hindsight, I realize now that it worked out the way it was supposed to because I was quite possibly walking into a scenario that was going to make me despise what was going on so much I was never going to make music again.
Mhm.
And that would hurt worse than anything. So yeah.
Yeah. So you had one of those cannabis moments.
Man, cannabis. Cannabis. Man, look, I told somebody very recently, we were having a conversation about cannabis, and I said, had the cards been played differently, cannabis might have been one of the biggest rappers in the world. Had the
Mhm.
cards been played different. I said, first of all, that LL thing never happened, and he was with the right camp to give him the right production. Cannabis would have been the biggest rapper in the world. Now, even with that LL situation happening, if he was with the right camp, right production, right push, right record label, he still would have been the biggest rapper in the world, and LL's head would have got ripped off a whole lot sooner than his career came to an end.
I think if he was in a camp clique instead of a Wyclef John clique, it
Yes,
would have been a totally different story.
but then the problem becomes if he's in boot camp click, does the does the
I
does
meant
the
the production sound,
oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So I mean, yeah,
not
yeah, definitely,
necessarily the clique,
yeah,
but
no doubt.
the sound, the
Oh yeah,
production.
give him some of
Beat
that.
miners.
Even hit him, even yeah, get him with beat miners, even get him with Primo, Buck
Yeah,
Wild, like somebody that's gonna give him some heat. Like you can't
some
have
dirt.
those cute little Wyclef beats with the ding ding ding. You can't have him doing it. You can't do that over them
Yeah.
beats that had the same impact. Like that's just not realistic. So I mean,
Mm-mm.
I think the expectation for cannabis kind of I think the expectation kind of hurt him because he killed stuff so much on the mixtapes. And then on the features, all the features he did before his album came out, he was just murdering everything he touched. And it was just like, God, this dude is fucking amazing. So the problem was you was rapping over dope beats, but they weren't your beats. And then when your album came out, the production was just So now people who are automatically tuned in because the beat's good, they're not gonna listen now. And even the people who listen for your lyrics can't stand to listen to your lyrics because the beats aren't good. So
Mhm.
you losing on both fronts. You losing with the real heads because they're not even going to stand to listen to your lyrics over whack beats, and you losing the casual listener who only get drawn in by the beat because the beats ain't good. So I mean, yeah, it was a
Yeah.
catch 22, man. I felt so bad for that dude, like I really did.
Yeah. Especially because he was so dope, but he still is. It's
Yes,
just he's not. He never found his niche.
that man said, "I speak in frequencies that dogs that have trouble hearing." Cannabis is the lyrical version of German engineering. Like, yo, in 1997, 98, wasn't nobody saying that. Not a
No.
single person. There was nobody saying that. So, like I said, yo, I told somebody, I said, for about a 14, 15-month stretch, Cannabis was the best rapper in the world. I don't care what
Yeah.
nobody tells me. For about a 15-month stretch, there was nobody better than him. So, I mean, it's
96,
tragic.
97.
Yeah, it,
I
it was
knew he was gonna be it.
that dude. And I feel like I was talking to E, and I told him like I feel some type of way when I run into people who say they into underground hip hop and say they like street shit and all that, and I'll be like, "You heard of E the Mad Assassin?" And they be like, "Nah." And sometimes it like rubs me the wrong way, and I'm like, "How you say that? Like everything you say you into, he's that." Let me turn you
Mhm.
on. Let me turn you on. I'm gonna put you on to my guy, and I won't even send them Carter and Newton first. I'll send them Hands of Stone or Bare Hands or something. And I'm like, you take that journey for yourself. You'll find Carter and Newton eventually. It's cool, but like right now, I want you to know about E. Like what I'm saying. That's what I want you to know. Like I don't have a selfish bone in my body when it comes, especially when it comes to this music shit. If I believe in you, I will tell the world about you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's just the way it worked for me, man. And I believe in E wholeheartedly. I always have since the first day I met him. I've always known he was dope. So
So if you had a dream collaboration,
shoot. Um,
artist and producer,
um, artist and producer, it'll be me and Nas on a Hit Boy track then. Yeah. Me and Nas on a Hit Boy track. I think me
I
and
love
Nas will
me
make a
said
killer.
Hit Boy.
Yeah. I think me and Nas will make a killer. I think most people go to the regular route and be like Primo or Pete Rock or whatever. And I love to rock with them too, but like we talking about 2022. Hit Boy is going crazy right now. And Nas is back in his bag real deep. So I'm like, yeah, that's the move right there. Like the only other collaboration that would even mean as much to me right now is like me and maybe doing a joint with Royce the 5'9". You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
that'd be heavy for me right now. But like um overall, Nas definitely. Like I would like normally the answer would have been Rakim, but he's been active for a long time. So like definitely Nas. Yeah, all day.
Yeah. So I don't know if this will ever change, but I'm going to ask it of you anyway.
Okay.
Three people in your life that provided a powerful impact for you, personally or
Oh
professionally.
man. Okay. Um shoot. My daughter, for one. And that's no disrespect to my son, but it was something different about having a little girl. You know what I'm saying? Um, something about having a little girl showed me elements about being a man that I hadn't really paid attention to. You know what I'm saying? So definitely my daughter, my father, because I mean he didn't live in the house with us, but he didn't miss a beat when it came to
Mhm.
being that male role model figure in my life. You know what I'm saying? So um, my father and Rakim. I wouldn't be rapping if it wasn't for him. So yeah, Rakim, absolutely.
Dope. And another question that I have for you is just what do you want your legacy to be? Not just as an artist, but as a man.
He stood up for what he believed and then compromised. Period. That's it. Like I mean, like all the other stuff that people say about you was cool. Oh, he was so nice and he was kind hearted. Yeah, but did he stand for something? Or was he just here being nice to people? You know what I'm saying? Being nice got his place. But I would rather for people to say, we know who he is, we know what he stood for, and he stood on that all the time. You know what I'm saying? He
Mhm.
believed in it, and that's what he stood on all the time. So, yeah, that part.
Dope. All right, I'm gonna open the floor. Morgan, do you have any last questions?
I have some like they're just random fun questions.
Okay.
So like, if you had a superhero alter ego, who would they be?
Um, see, most people probably think I say Black Panther, but nah, probably Human Torch. 9 times
Okay.
out of 10. Yeah.
Any reason why specifically?
I ain't even gonna lie. When I was a kid, my two favorite characters on cartoons was the Human Torch and Iceman. Like they the polar opposite of each other, but to me, fire and ice are two of the most powerful things in the world. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you melt ice, it turns into water, and you can't beat water, no matter who you are. So, the Human Torch, though, to me, like the fact that he could just say "flame on" and his whole body is on fire. Like when I walk in the booth, sometimes I look at the engineer through the glass and be like, "Flame on." You know what I'm talking about? Like it's about to go down in here. So like, yeah, the Human Torch.
There you go. There you go. If you had, if someone wrote like, or you wrote a story about yourself, like your life story, what would the title be?
Damned if you do. That's gonna be that'll be the name of it, because it can't be damned if you do, damned if you don't, because there's never a point where I don't, so it's always damned if you do.
Good.
No good deed goes unpunished.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
All right. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
You know, this is one of the great philosophical debates in the country, in the world right now. I just want everybody that's listening to this to be very clear. Pineapple absolutely positively goes on pizza. It just depends on what else you got on it. That's what it is.
It's a huge debate. Like every day I see it, and I enjoy it. It's a fun one. It's a fun debate to have. If you could learn any language in a week, what language would you choose?
Swahili.
Any reason why?
Because it's probably one of the easiest African languages to learn, and it would be the door to me learning more. So like, I know a little right now, but like not enough for me to have a conversation with somebody. Right. But I work with a lot of brothers and sisters from Kenya at my last job, and I heard them speaking to each other, and it just sounded so beautiful. I was like, man, I want to learn that. So full disclosure, I got Duolingo on my phone right now trying to. So you know what I'm saying? I love Swahili, absolutely.
And then, what's your most hated household chore?
That's a good question. Yo, I'll keep it 1,000 with you. Like I tell people all the time, I'll wash dishes, I'll clean windows, I'll mop and sweep and all that. But one thing I don't want to do is clean the bathroom.
I think a lot of people don't want to do that.
Hate the bathroom. I know what goes on in there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like I know what goes on
with kids too. Like with kids, oh man.
Absolutely.
And then a last one. Is there any words like you have, like especially as a rapper, is there any words you find that are hard to pronounce? Like a word that you struggle with so much?
Actually, nah. But that's only because as a child, like the need to be able to speak clearly was like nailed into me, like easy. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom was on it. Like say use your words, speak so I can understand you. You know what I'm saying? Even my English teachers, they used to say, you have such a gift for words, you need to be understood. Speak clearly. But I will say this, and I'm gonna make a joke at my man's expense right now because because I can, because that's my dude. My man Rim Still, we was in the studio, and like, there's people in the world that can't say specific. Like he can say specific, but if he's rapping and trying to say it, it comes out as specific. Mm-hmm. Or you know what I'm saying? So like I always fuck with him about that though, because I'm like, dog, I know I live on the west side, but can you please stop asking me to be Pacific? Please. Please stop asking me to be Pacific. Oh man, so one love, Rim. What up, Rim? 96 Gems, the whole fam. You, my bad, yo. I had to let that
one off. Okay, I gotta squeeze one more in. So everybody knows I'm fascinated with your voice. So the next thing that I will be fascinated with depends on this answer.
Okay.
Pancakes or waffles?
Ooh.
Oh man. Now see, that's a swing debate right there, because you know what? I'm gonna just say waffles. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna just leave it at waffles.
Waffles.
Syrup or no syrup? No, stop.
Hey man,
the love continues. It don't even matter. The love continues.
Son says syrup or no syrup. Is there such thing as waffles without syrup? What are you talking about right
Give me
now?
a dry waffle out here.
I was just playing.
You know, put peanut butter on it or something? You gotta,
Yeah.
that's
What
Well,
about
wild, bro.
you
confetti
know,
sugar?
because I've had so
Confectionery
many
sugar?
relatives that went to jail,
Whoa.
I love peanut butter on my waffle. Peanut butter and syrup, because butter
Ooh.
was not handy, but
Yeah.
they had peanut butter galore, so they put peanut butter and syrup on their waffle.
Oh
Nothing
yeah.
wrong with
Like
that.
I was talking to one of my guys because that's like one of the things that we found that we had in common that we both did time. So we was like, yo, we was just talking one day. We was just going like and it was amazing that we did time at two totally different places, two totally different states, two totally different time periods. But like the similarities were ridiculously like the list of similarities was ridiculously long. And I was like, dog, you know what they tell you? Prison don't change. Like it's gonna forever be what it is. Like it don't matter how much they privatize, how much money they put into it, none of that. Like it's gonna be what it is because they can't change it at this juncture. Like they and some people would say it don't work. You know what I'm saying? Or they should change it because it don't work. And I'm like, no. It works exactly the way it's supposed to. Exactly the way it's supposed to. And that's the problem. But yeah, yeah, peanut butter on waffles. Yeah, I
Yeah,
that's why I said that because I was like, I've been there, done that. Like since I came home,
yeah.
I'm
I
straight
still
syrup,
do
yo.
it. I love peanut butter. Oh, I love peanut butter on my waffle. I
I
do.
don't blame you. Yeah,
But
it can be kind of fire.
that's because I haven't been to the penitentiary and had to have peanut butter on my waffle.
Yeah, you can actively
Now
make that choice on your own.
now it's like a delicacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And you get
absolutely.
to choose the brand
Yes.
too. Who knows how that peanut butter tastes in there?
Hey,
Um,
bro.
sorry, I'm gonna cut you.
Oh no, go ahead. You good?
No,
Yeah.
Nevis.
Oh,
Any final questions?
yeah. I had two. Um, we so seven. We celebrated Father's Day last month.
No
Just
doubt.
wondering, how did you celebrate Father's Day, and what does fatherhood mean to you?
Um, well, one of my kids is on the East Coast right now, so I did get to talk to him. I ain't get to spend time with him, but I did get to see my daughter for a while. That like anytime I see her, it makes me smile. So that's a plus because I don't do a whole lot of that. So I take them where I can get them. But uh, I mean, for me, man, fatherhood is an opportunity to rectify some of the wrongs that you did or some of the wrongs that you've seen, and give your kids a better opportunity, to do something greater than what you did. Um, I think it's that, and then just being in a position where you have to protect somebody that means so much to you. Like it doesn't matter how much you love your significant other. Till you have a kid, you're never gonna really understand what love is. You know what I'm saying? Because there's things I would do for my children that I don't care who my significant other is, I will not do that. You know what I'm saying? But my kids, I will never. If it's life or death for me, then I'm gonna just go. If I gotta go for my kid to survive, I'm out of here. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even a choice for me to make. Um, Fatherhood is probably one of the biggest. Fatherhood to me is one of the greatest prizes in the world that so many people rob themselves of for all the wrong reasons. Um, Guys walk out of their kids' lives because they can't get along with the mother of that child, not realizing that child there's gonna be repercussions for that in that child's life later. And there's gonna be repercussions for that in your life later when you see that child suffering or struggling or strung out on drugs or in jail or whatever the case may be. And you realize that your lack of direction, your lack of adding to the direction and the guidance of their life is part of the reason why they're in the situation they're in. So for me, that's what fatherhood is. You know what I'm saying? I got a chance to, like, all of the shit that I did wrong, like my son 20, 22. You know what I'm saying? So all the stuff I did wrong by 22, he ain't done none of it. You know what I'm saying? And I salute him for that. But at the same time, he salutes me because he knows I taught him not to do those things. So yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Morgan, you got a question, Morgan? Oh no. Um, and then second question is, you dropped a new single today that isn't on the album we've been speaking about. Can you please tell us the title and what it's about exactly and who produced it?
Yeah, no doubt. So the name of the single is Montu, Montu. That's actually an African war god. Song was produced by my man Van Guns out of VA. And basically the whole premise of the record is I don't want to say it's just about war because it's about more than that. It's about not not wanting to not being in the mood to acknowledge nonsense. You know what I'm saying? If you listen to the record, the main part of the hook is me saying I ain't trying to hear nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not, because everything I'm talking about in the verses is everything that I don't appreciate about hip hop culture and where it's headed, and just culture in general where it's headed. Um, I said in the second verse, I started the second verse off. I said I hit the purple flower, flow harder than steel plates. King like Wakanda was a real place. Think about it. The purple flower in Wakanda is how the Black Panther got his power, right? So anyway, we go back. I said, hit the purple flower, flow harder than steel plates. King like Wakanda was a real place. Beef career ending. Watch his grill quake. Goons at every door. I hope you find the windows like Bill Gates. Wait. All right, now I'm not gonna go no further than that. But yeah, so I mean, it's a it's kind of like my I'm gonna get you sucker. Jack Spade, how he was walking around with his theme music and the band walking around behind him. When you hear the beat to Montu, you'll understand why. Like when we shoot the video, that's probably gonna kind of be the vibe we go with because that's what it feels like. It feels like this is a mantra. This is not just a record. This is me stating my principal belief in life right now. I ain't trying to hear nothing. Period. I don't want nothing. Don't talk to me about it. If it ain't about improving the situation that we're in currently, if it's not about creating a better way for our kids to come up, if it ain't about, you know what I'm saying, trying to get to some money so we can improve the situation, if it ain't about empowerment, basically, I ain't trying to hear nothing at all.
That is so dope. I can't wait to hear it. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm gonna make sure I listen to it tonight because
Oh yeah, it's
the
everywhere.
voice.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Spotify. It's like it's everywhere. Like the only thing that made me mad was I went on Instagram to share it on my story, and I wanted to do like you know how you can add music to your story,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't there yet. So I was like, ah, okay, whatever. But yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. I know you like that. I know you like that raw shit, SP. So I think you'll dig
Yeah,
it. I think you'll dig
I know I dig it.
it. And I and I
Thank
and I and I, and I will say that I had oh, I know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I really think you're gonna enjoy it because I had just smoked right before I recorded that, so my voice is like extra. My voice is a little extra on that one, so yeah. Like I think you'll like it.
dope. Thank you, thank you so much for coming. I told E that I just want one day to sit and listen to you read the healthcare bill to me.
You
He's
know,
gonna do audiobooks next.
I'm actually auditioning for some audiobooks right now.
There
So
you
like,
go.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
I
see how
mean, as soon as you get them, let me know because I'll buy them just to hear you read.
I got you covered. I got you. Most definitely. Most definitely. But I thank
Thank
y'all for
you.
having me. Thank y'all for having me
Uh,
again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming by. We all love your music so much, and anytime you want to come through and promote, just shoot the shit. You more than welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I would definitely take you up on that because you know what I'm saying. It's a I like with me having my own podcast. I do a lot of interviewing, but I don't do a lot of interviews where I'm being asked the questions. So this is a good change of pace for me. Definitely.
Mhm.
What's the name of your podcast? We didn't even ask that. I know you
Oh,
mentioned it before.
it's my podcast is Panther Politics podcast. It's mainly audio only. I do have a few videotaped episodes, but most of them are audio only. But it's on all the streaming platforms. I mainly interview artists, but I also have interview politicians and community activists. So, you know, it's fun to get them to know. Like I do it because I like to know people's stories, like I said before. So yeah, that's the power in it right there. I love
So is there anything else you want to promote? Any shout outs?
it. For shout outs, I want to shout out my squad, Take Over Music Collective, Ready Run, Mojo Barnes, Soul the Interrogator, Double XL, Hodge, Monster, Nico Tam. Shout out Sound Chamber Productions, We Live in Entertainment, 144,000 Chosen Few, Judah Priest, my man. Um, everybody to fuck with me, everybody to fuck with Either Mad Assassin, everybody to fuck with NC Hip Hop, everybody to fuck with the Pacific Northwest. Y'all already know what it is. Seven the Panther. Find me on all the socials. I'm Seven the Panther everywhere, except on Twitter because my name's too long, so I'm Seb the Panther there. But yeah.
All right, we're going to put all those links down in the description, and so you can follow and support and go and check out his podcast. But for us, like, follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and thank you again for coming. And this is powerful. This powerful impact. We out.
Boom, from the cannon, not bragging, trying to read my mind, just imagine. Oh, never mind. I'm having a busted moment. Love y'all, man. One love.
Peace.
Peace.